Good afternoon. Welcome to HHD Stories Come to Life, where we follow up on past features about our alumni and friends. My name is Mechelle Best, and I am the Interim Dean of the College of Health and Human Development at CSUN. This series is brought to you by our college's Reputational Pillar Committee. This interview is being recorded and will be shareable. Today we have with us Nina Amirian and Ariel Dankner, graduates of our Accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, also known as the A-BSN. In January 2021, CSUN Today wrote about a group of our nursing students who volunteered to deliver COVID-19 vaccines to healthcare workers during finals week in December 2020. You'll remember this was the very beginning of vaccines becoming available. Our students continued to sign up for shifts in January. In all, about 55 CSUN students volunteered to help vaccinate hundreds of people at Henry Mayo, Newhall Hospital, Olive View UCLA Medical Center, and Valley Presbyterian Hospital. This was arranged by Dr. Rebecca Child, the chair of our nursing department. It is especially important to note that by volunteering, these students freed up hospital resources and staff who were already working at or beyond capacity because so many people were getting sick from the deadly virus. Our two guests today were student volunteers in this critical effort. Please join me in welcoming Nina Amirian and Ariel Dankner. Today we will chat with them about what has happened since the 2021 story was published as their stories come to life. Welcome, Nina and Ariel, and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm going to start by asking Nina and Ariel some questions, and then at the end of our conversation, we will have time for questions and answers with the audience. So feel free to type your questions into the chat as we go along, and we will respond to them later. Ariel and Nina, so much has happened since those first vaccines became available at the end of 2020. Now, getting booster shots has become the norm. But I want to take you back to 2020 to get a sense of why you chose to volunteer. The A-BSN program is an intensive 15-month program, and we typically recommend that students don't take on other jobs while working through it. Yet you took on this responsibility during some of the most difficult days of the pandemic. Why did you choose to volunteer, and what motivated you to keep going?
We were volunteering to help us fulfill some of our clinical hours. And in the beginning, I was a little bit nervous and a little bit hesitant just because so much of the pandemic was really like an unknown and unprecedented event in history, especially for me. So I just remember like being really nervous, really anxious. And then when we got there and we saw like the little tiny vials with the, the vaccine in there, it just kind of gave me a little bit of hope of, things hopefully would start to get back to normal soon. And we got to be a part of something that would be really cool to, tell, your kids or your grandkids one day. And it was just a really fun experience, especially with our classmates and, other medical professionals, to really learn what it means to be a healthcare professional during a pandemic and also to be a nurse at that time.
Yeah, I agree with what Nina said. It was very exciting to be on the forefront of such a pivotal moment in history. We were taking pictures, we were posting about it. We were very excited to be a part of this beginning of improvement. And like Nina said, it was part of our clinical rotations, and we were also able to volunteer additional hours. And we were so supported by staff. They ensured that we had the proper PPE, and all our friends, we were together as a cohort. So it wasn't as nerve-wracking, I think, for me as maybe being in like COVID ICU units were during clinicals. Like giving the vaccine was actually the first step toward becoming more normal nursing students again.
Okay. And you started this volunteer experience during finals, and you continued doing it as you were working through finishing up your A-BSN program. how do you think this volunteering shaped your career decisions after that point?
I think it showed me that even if you're a new grad and even if you're new, and you really don't have that much experience or knowledge in the field, having clinical instructors and other nurses and volunteers there, it kind of made me feel more secure in it, and they taught me a lot in that time as well. And I think that was a really big takeaway of, at some point, no matter how much experience you have as a nurse, you're always going to be new at something. So you can always lean on, your peers, your superiors to kind of help you get through things that you don't know and things that you want to gain more experience and education about. Definitely.
Ariel?
Yeah, I think that, you hear about these moments in history where a new virus, there was a new outbreak, or they discover some new disease, and you wonder how you would react as a healthcare professional, like in the time when HIV was first discovered, or before they had knowledge on certain diseases. And you wonder if you will shy away from that challenge, or if you will be putting yourself in the danger zone. And I think we really came together as a nursing school and as a cohort and put ourselves in the line of fire. And we were really proud of that decision to stick by our patients and be a really significant part of history. Even though we didn't know much about COVID, we didn't know what would happen if we caught it. We had students move out of their homes, not to put their families in danger. But as a cohort, none of us dropped out, none of us left. Like, we all followed through and finished together, and it was a cool thing to be a part of.
So tell us a bit about where you are now, where you're working, how you're fitting into the field. It must be vastly different to when you were a student.
Do you want to go? I'm at Huntington Hospital right now in Pasadena, and I'm in a surgical telemetry unit where they have a lot of trauma-based patients, and then they also have a lot of like bariatric patients as well. It's definitely had a really, really steep learning curve, and I don't think anything is ever really able to prepare you for what it's like to go from nursing school and clinicals to like a new grad preceptorship program. And then, whenever you're done at like the end of the 12 weeks or 16 weeks, you're kind of just jump out of the nest and, be a baby bird and fly type of deal. I don't think anything could really prepare you for that. And I think it's a journey kind of finding your spot and where you fit in and what you're interested in, where you belong. But I think like everything else with nursing, it's something that you'll never be stagnant, and you're always learning and you're always finding what you like and what you're interested in, and something maybe you even never considered before. So it's definitely been a really eye-opening experience to go from nursing school during a pandemic to like still kind of working in a pandemic and just adjusting and being new.
I'm working in the main operating room at Providence St. John's in Santa Monica. Surgical nursing wasn't something we were very exposed to in school. I happened into it. It's almost like the niche kind of picked me more than I picked it. And I ended up falling in love with it and the field, and working with a whole team of healthcare professionals, working with surgeons and anesthesiologists. It was a very different, very exciting, fast-paced environment, and I love it now. I'm still there. It's been more than a year.
So from both of you, I've heard a couple of things that, again, really stand out to me. You can get a lot of education. You can, get the academic side of things, but nothing quite prepares you for that final step into the real world and getting that experience. And then the other thing is from Ariel, that you may end up in an area that you probably never ever considered. So you do need to be open to the opportunities that are around you, and to take advantage to at least try something to see how it would work. And it sounds as if being a nurse in the surgical area is really working out well for you. So while I appreciate that there are a number of things that you're not going to quite experience until you're in the field and doing the work, I hope there are a lot of things that we do in our nursing program to get you ready to go into the field in the first place. So I wonder if you could tell us about some of your other experiences at CSUN beyond volunteering during that pandemic time that helped to equip you to do what you're doing right
now. I think I remember like one of the biggest things that Dr. Gilardi said in our patho class was that like you have to learn how to be flexible, and that's so much of what nursing is. And for me, I'm such a type A kind of person that was a very difficult adjustment, especially again like when you're having your new grad preceptorship and then you're finally on your own. And I feel like I've really learned that a lot over the last few months, is how to kind of just take things as they come and to be open to experiences. And so much of nursing is outside of your control as a nurse, that you kind of have to learn how to appreciate that and learn how to work with it to the best of your ability. And, you know, how each person is an individual, how you're going to grapple it as an individual, as a challenge.
Yeah, I think CSUN prepared us a lot. In 15 months, you have to almost like pick and choose what things to teach the students, because there's so much in healthcare to teach, especially in nursing, and we're constantly discovering new things. So I feel like the information that was taught and packed into 15 months was like the most essential knowledge, the need to knows. And I definitely felt like I entered the field knowing how to not kill someone. So they prepared us very well in that regard. I think everyone eventually passed their NCLEX, and clinical hours was the most like hands-on practical experience that we could get. We were in the hospitals throughout the pandemic. I know a lot of nursing schools went completely online, but CSUN really pushed and advocated for us to be in the hospitals. So we still got to do that hands-on experience that a lot of other students didn't get to do. And yeah, even though I came into a field that I had no exposure to, I still felt very prepared, and I still had one leg up on a lot of other students who were completely online for the duration of their programs.
Dr. Child is on, and I can see her face, and I know that she is thrilled that you're saying that because we were able to stay in person for nursing and to facilitate those practical experiences, we've given you an advantage over the other students who graduated from different programs and they weren't able to still do that. So I know she's really happy to see that those decisions that we made, and we really had to fight hard to get those, you know, decisions made, because initially we were going to have to do like everybody else. But our nursing department fought to allow our students to continue with the practical pieces. And I'm glad that that has really paid off for you. So what would you say to students who are thinking about a career in nursing? Not that the ones who've already made the decision and are at CSUN or with one of our community partners getting ready to transfer to CSUN, but those students, especially in high school, who can't figure out what they want to do, and maybe the nursing profession looks attractive, but they're still kind of wavering. What would you say to them?
I would say that nursing is such a fluid field. Like there is so much to do in the field that if you enjoy teaching, you can become a nurse educator. If you enjoy learning, you can go back to school and continue your education and pursue a PhD. If you enjoy taking care of people and that direct hands-on experience, you can have that fulfilling job, that sense of purpose. And if you're interested in healthcare, and you can always go into research, and there's just so many avenues for growth in nursing. That's what attracted me to the profession to begin with, because I always knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, and I really connected with all the avenues of nursing and all the opportunities for growth. It's like we don't really experience that glass cap that a lot of other professions experience. Like we can continue growing for the duration of our careers. There's really no end to the learning and the developing with nursing. So I would encourage everyone to look further into all the different possibilities and avenues.
I definitely agree with Ariel that there is like a niche for everybody in nursing. You can you can find your spot. You just have to look. And if the first thing isn't your spot, then don't lose hope and don't lose that focus to find what your passion is and what you're really interested in and good at. And I think sometimes we forget how emotionally demanding nursing is as well. You know, you see so many like beautiful and great things, but then on the other side, you can see so many sad things that I don't think I was really prepared for that aspect of it, of how much it can demand from you, you know, physically and mentally, but emotionally as well. Which again, it's a privilege to be able to be there at people's most vulnerable moments, but you also have to learn how to like process that as well as a nurse and as an individual. But yeah.
I want to pick up on that last piece you just said, and maybe the two of you can share with us the emotional side of doing the work that you do, given the types of patients that you have to deal with and so on. It could affect you in a number of different ways, and you are still relatively new to your fields, having recently graduated. And I wonder how you are coping with that. How are you dealing with that emotional side? How are you processing it? How do you take care of yourself so that you can then be in a good enough condition to take care of your patients?
I think I learned in undergrad from one of my professors at UCSB that just because we don't see all the evils in the world doesn't mean they're not happening. Just because we don't see people suffering doesn't mean it's not happening. And I realized once I went to nursing school, like me now seeing it in person and being there to hold the patient's hand or being there to comfort them, it was always happening. I'm now doing something about it. So these things are constantly happening, and we have that chance and that opportunity to be a part of making it better. And I think I really got through it with the support of my peers and my colleagues and educators, and everyone's experiencing the same thing. So it's like having one big support team. Everyone could talk about it within HIPAA violations, but we talk about it and we experience things together, and that kind of makes it okay.
I agree. You definitely like learn how to lean on the people that understand it the most. And I think honestly, to be very honest, I'm still learning how to deal with like the kind of sad stuff. But again, like talking about it has helped me. And, you know, on my days that I'm off, I do whatever I want to do that day. So if it means just like sitting on the couch and watching TV, that's what I'm going to do. If it means like, you know, going out and doing something, that's what I'm going to do. But I think it'll probably vary for everybody, because how Ariel said, like everybody processes everything differently. But it's still something you definitely have to learn how to manage and how to face. And you can only do that once you're working on your own, you know? So I think that's when I've learned the most. And it teaches you a lot about yourself that I think I didn't even know, you know, how sensitive I can be about those situations. I didn't think that I was, but you know, you see it and you experience it, and then you just process it from there.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take some questions now from the audience. We don't have a large audience today, but we are recording this to disseminate more widely. So any questions that those of you in the audience want to ask, now is the time to do it. And while you're thinking about your questions, I note that Bonnie Flaherty, who is in the audience with us, said that she had the honor of being a patient of one of our students, and she was so proud. And I've heard that comment from donors, I've heard it from alumni, I've heard it from current students. When they find out that the person helping them is a CSUN graduate, it takes them to another level, and they're so appreciative of the service that you are providing. So I'm always happy when I hear those kinds of comments and I can share them with the service providers, because that's really what you are. You are providing phenomenal services to your clients, and you're helping them through some of the most difficult periods of their lives. Sometimes you're helping them through some of the happiest periods of their lives as well. So you get to share in that range of emotions that your patients go through. So that is, I hope, an awesome experience for you, as it is for some of them. What are your future plans? Where do you see yourselves maybe next week, maybe next year, a couple of years down the line?
I want to continue in my field. I want to continue pursuing my education. I want to continue growing in the field. I'm really enjoying surgery. I've thought about surgical NP and all the different avenues I can do in that area. So I'm excited to continue discovering new opportunities.
Nina?
I feel like this is a good fit for now. I don't know if it's going to be my forever fit, but I think the advantage in starting in like a telemetry unit or a med surge type of unit is that you get a lot of exposure and experience to build a really strong foundation. So, you know, if in a few months or in a year or so, I want to move to a different unit, or, you know, I'll have enough of a background to be able to make that maneuver. But yeah, I don't think surgical telemetry is the end all be all, but I think it's a good spot to start in.
Okay. Other questions from our audience? Let's see. Well, if there are no more questions from our audience, I want to thank you, Ariel and Nina, so much. You're nurses. I am sure you have a lot of other things you could be doing right now. You could be taking care of your patients. You could be providing some health services. So we, really appreciate that you take this time with us to have this conversation that we can share with our students, that we can share with potential students to help them to understand what a critical role nurses play in our healthcare system, and to help them to appreciate what you have gone through in the last couple of years and the service that you provided, even though you recognize there were risks involved, even though you were skeptical, you got out on the front lines and you really contributed to helping us to start the recovery process. We're still going through it, but the work that you've done and the work that you're doing is important. So I'm glad we were able to have this chat with you. Thank you to the members of the audience who are here with us, and I look forward to hosting another HHD Stories Come to Life, where we can really pinpoint our alumni and our friends and talk about the contributions that the various professionals that we develop through this college make to our community and our society. Have a wonderful rest of your day.